All right. This is Dr. Frank Kern, attorney at law with NASA, and welcome to this little installation of Mass Control Promos TM. All rights reserved. System 2000 Platinum Elite Unicorn Group. Okay, this is all about the $500,000 PDF promo. This is ridiculous. Now, what made this promo work was the offer. All right, so let me tell you a little something about it, then I'll go over it with you. Here we go, the backstory, good old-fashioned backstory. In March of 2012, not too long ago, I decided to offer personal consulting to members of our community, aka my list, that had established businesses. So there's two different kinds of coaching, I guess. You can do the coaching where you just talk to people and help them with stuff, and then you can do consulting where it's a little bit more labor intensive and you're doing some of the work for them and kind of working by their side in their business with them and helping them out. So I kind of wanted to go that route. I've always enjoyed that work. It's very profitable, but it's very time consuming. So in terms of a business model, you may or may not want to really deploy it in your business. However, this type of promotion and offer can really be used with just about anything. Just kind of giving you the backstory. Anyway, so did that. Reason I did it is because I like it, and I also knew there was an immense opportunity to help people because nobody else offers this. If you think about it, like none of the other, quote-unquote gurus or whatever really will kind of work with you, you know what I mean, and call you on the phone and have you come to the office and do stuff for you. So there's a huge demand for this. So I like doing it, and I also just kind of wanted to see what would happen if I made the offer. So here are the problems with this type of offer. First of all, in order for this to be worth a considerable time investment on my part, I was going to have to charge a lot for it because I really do work a lot, and quite frankly, the money I charge is kind of not really worth the time. I just like the work, So if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it because while it's a lot of money, I mean, let's not, be stupid here. It's I could make more doing less work. So I enjoy the work, but I still need to charge a lot for it in order for it to be worth it. So the other part of the equation is this offer wouldn't really be worth it to just anyone on my list due to the requirements needed by them in order for me to help them get a good return on investment. Can't talk today. So a lot of marketing guys will sell coaching to anybody, or consulting to anybody, and they'll take anyone as a client for the money. Well, at the price point I'm charging for this consulting, which is $10,000 a month, I can't really help just anybody make over $10,000 a month immediately right out of the gate. So there were some qualifications that people needed to have in order for me to accept them as a client. And I also wanted to actually speak with the prospective client before I took them on. But I didn't want to make sales calls. I hate making sales calls. I will not ever make a sales call. It's just not, I just ain't got it in me. Don't want to do it. That's why we're in this business, right? So we don't have to pick up the phone and call people and try to sell them stuff. So these were all the problems, man, I want to do this, but I have to address all these situations, right? So what I needed to do, and what I did, is to create a marketing filter / system that would both pre-sell my ideal client, have them coming to me, basically, and filter out the unsuitable clients, thus avoiding sales calls and overwhelm. Now, what I mean by overwhelm is if I sent it to everybody, I would get a gazillion applications and I'd be screwed, right? I'd be having to talk to a zillion people on the phone, and it'd be a hassle, and ultimately I wouldn't be able to get back with people in a timely manner, and they'd get pissed off and blah, blah, blah. You get the point, right? So these are all the problems that I had to deal with. Here was the solution, and a solution you can deploy if you find yourself in a similar situation. Number one is I had to come up with the killer offer, an offer that would entice and attract my ideal client while repelling those that weren't ideal. And again, it's the definition of a client who's not ideal has nothing to do with them personally. It's more the business. I need people to have certain criteria in their businesses in order for me to deploy my stuff for them to get them an immediate ROI. I don't want to take them as a 10K a month client if I can't earn them 30 plus per month immediately in return for the money, or else it doesn't work. Doesn't make any sense. I'm sure there are people out there that could pull that off and have people paying them forever based on air and whatever, but I'd rather get a positive ROI immediately for the client, right? So anyway, the second part of the solution was the list. I have a big list. I can't send this offer to just everybody in the list, or else I'll be sending it to the wrong people, right? So the problem is solved with the right offer to the right list segment. So let's talk about that list segment real quick. All right. My list is pretty big, and it's made up roughly of the following. This is very unscientific data based on a survey I did years ago. All right. So it could be different a little bit, but bottom line is I haven't really gotten that many new subscribers in the past year or so because I don't really advertise and market that much, you know. Therefore, this should be fairly accurate. All right. So 75% of the list are what I call happy dabblers / enthusiasts. These are people who like internet marketing, think it's cool, and they kind of dabble in it. It's kind of a hobby. You know, so these are the folks who like to buy like the $97 courses and the ebooks and stuff, and you know, maybe even the launch product every now and again, and they're happy with their purchase, and they're just kind of hobbyists. You know what I mean? They might have a website, and they might sell some stuff, or they might not, and they might just enjoy being part of the community and, you know, learning, and that's cool, right? That's fine. There's a lot of those dudes out there. So the happy dabblers, enthusiasts, make up about 75% of my list, and that's just the way it is, you know, and that's fine. I enjoy those folks, and I'm glad that they're there because they buy a lot of my stuff, and they like my stuff, and they send me nice emails and so forth. And then there are about 20% of the list would be what I call successful full-timers. These are folks where this is largely, if not entirely, all they do is interwebs marketing. And I'll define successful by simply stating that this is all they do. You know, so whether they make $5 grand a month or 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month or whatever doesn't really matter in terms of my definition of success for them. My definition of success for them is they are full-time online, right? And they're happy about it and they love it. So that's about 20% of those guys, and they could range anywhere, you know, like I said, 6-figure earners or you know, just a regular job replacement, doesn't matter. All right, so that's, in total, that's about, whatever, 95% of my list. Now, the remaining 5% is what I would call multi-million-dollar rock stars, you know, people with bigger businesses. And whether or not we define bigger business by size of company, number of employees, or you know, revenue generated annually is kind of irrelevant. These guys are all in the multi-million-dollar gross annual revenue realm, right? So which one do you think is the target market here? Well, if I want to attract someone who's going to pay a lot of money, obviously they need to be making a lot of money. In theory, strangely, people who don't make a lot of money will still pay a lot of money for stuff they enjoy and be happy about it. But I would prefer to work with people that can afford it easily and that I can get immediate results for. And in order for me to get immediate results for them, they need to have assets in place, such as a responsive list, goodwill in their marketplace, a suite of products already created, right? If they have all that kind of stuff, I can tweak what they're doing, create some offers for them, and really rock it out. So obviously, the 5% multi-million-dollar rock stars are the easiest folks for me to work with. Now, can I take a happy dabbler and an enthusiast and bring him or her to the multi-million-dollar rock star world? Yeah, I can. It'll take forever. Usually, you know, because they don't have that much to start out with. They don't have a list yet. A lot of times they don't have like a really winning sales funnel yet, and the mindset could be a little bit different. So for obvious reasons, I prefer to use, to work with just that 5%. Aside from just the monetary reasons, right? I mean, I can just get them a better result quicker. So I think you get the point. Anyway, so that's the list breakdown, right? All right, so here was the mission, okay? So I want to avoid the happy dabblers and enthusiasts. Now, there are two reasons I want to avoid them, and it's important to understand the psychology behind this and to model this. So reason number one is because I can't help them. I mean, technically I could, but it would kind of be forever, and it would take me a long time to really get them results because they don't have the tools and assets that the other guys have. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, it's unlikely that I would have converted that many of them because it is very, very expensive, you know. But reason number three that I want to avoid them, that others might not share with you, is I don't want to offend these people and make them feel excluded by dangling an offer that they would probably like, which is, hey, let me work with you personally on your business, and then attaching a very, very possibly prohibitively high price tag to it. So I didn't want to alienate them. So that's another reason that I wanted to avoid them, just kind of out of courtesy, you know. It's like going to someone and being like, hey, you guys want to drive this Ferrari? Oh, not you. Sorry, you can't afford it. You know, so that's like really not that cool. So I didn't want to do that. So that was thing number one and the reasons why. Thing number two is the successful full-timers, which is my other 20% of my list. I wanted to avoid them for the same reasons as above, and even though many of them could possibly afford at least like a couple months of that service, I would still have to work so hard to bring them to a positive ROI at my price point. And the reason why, again, is because of momentum. They don't have enough momentum in their business, right? These guys might have smaller lists. They might not have the product suites ready. They might only have one thing to offer, and so forth and so on. Their goodwill and marketplace positioning might not be where it needs to be yet. So you kind of get the point. So I wanted to avoid them for those reasons, and I didn't want them to feel excluded as well, right? And of course, finally, I wanted to target the rock stars, because those guys, not all of them, they still had to be the right company, but those guys would be likely a better target. They would be more receptive, and I could get them better results. So here was the solution that I found that I would do. Okay, so off we go here. Number one is what I could do, and probably the smartest thing to do would be to survey my list, and then use a survey to uncover the pocket of ideal prospects in my list by asking questions about their business and list size. I can get all kinds of data about them. Like not only find out how big their list is, how much volume they do, what they sell, what their business type is, where they are in the marketplace, and all of that kind of stuff. I could then segment those guys and just create a database just of them. So that's probably the smartest thing to do, right? Now, the problem with that, and the reason why I didn't do it, is because I'd actually have to set up the survey and do something, which would have been a pain in the ass. And of course, I was in a hurry, like I'm always in a hurry for some strange, inexplicable reason. There's really no point in me being in a hurry, but I always am. So I didn't do it. I didn't want to mess with it. So I did the next best thing, which was to simply target my multi-buyers in my list, right? Because obviously I have a customer database, and I could pull out people who have bought multiple products from me. And the logic was that if they buy lots of my stuff, then they're probably getting good results with it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying it repeatedly, unless they're just dabblers and enthusiasts who just like it, which is fine, But logically, right, they probably are successful if they're buying lots of my stuff, because my stuff works pretty good, if I do say so myself. So the logic being, within this group of multi-buyers, there are probably more rock stars there within the general population. So it was kind of my way of filtering it down a little bit, right? So smartest thing to do for you would be to do the survey. Just set up SurveyMonkey or something like that, and you'll be fine. And if you don't want to do that, then you can do what I did, which is to target multi-buyers. Okay, so here's what I did, all right? And here's what you can do as well. First thing I did is I emailed the PDF, I'm going to go over with you in a minute, to my multi-buyers in good standing. All right. Now, good standing means that they paid all their payments, and they are nice to my support staff, which consists of one person who you've probably met by now, which is Gerald. Gerald's been my right arm. She's actually really both arms and a leg at this point for 10 years now. So as long as they got the okay from Gerald, they're okay with me. But if for any reason Gerald didn't like them, they're not getting the offer. You know what I mean? Because when you have clients at that level, a consulting type of deal, you talk to them all the time. Like I was literally just texting with one of my consulting clients this morning about surfboards, of all things. So it becomes a lot more than just a business relationship. So I wanted them to be super cool. And I figured, hey, as long as they paid all their payments and stuff and everything's cool, then, fiscally, they probably have their act together more than those who wouldn't have, so they're probably pretty good folks, right? So all in all, that total list of multi-buyers was a little over 3,000 people. I don't know if you know this, but I don't really have that many customers because of my price points, right? And because of the amount of the repeat business that I get. So I think I looked for everyone who had bought mass control and list control from me, and fell in that category of being cool and all that kind of stuff. So that was it. A little over 3,000 people, maybe rounded up to 3,500 or something. So here are the results that I got from the mailing. Okay, and again, I'm going to go over the mailing with you in a second. I received 79 applications from people within that tiny little sub list to pay me $10,000 per month. So in the PDF I'm going to share with you, I make an irresistible offer, which is the other side of the equation, right? And I also state the price point quite clearly up front. So I got 79 applications. Had I accepted all applicants, that would have been a monthly income of $790,000. Now, due to the nature of the offer, I still got some unqualified people in there. Some people who were just wanting to hang out and talk about whatever, and some folks I didn't want to work with their type of business. It weirded me out and so forth. While it's theoretically possible for me to handle all those clients, it would have definitely been too much work and too much stress for me. I'd have had to take on more staff. I'd been on the phone all the time with 779 people. I like time freedom more than money. You know what I mean? So I don't want a giant business. Plus, like I said, not all of these guys were qualified and or appealing. I identified about 40 of those 79 that I would have taken. But I didn't take them all. As a matter of fact, I ended up talking to like 7 of them, and out of the 7 I talked to, I accepted 5. And the reason I didn't talk to the rest of them is because once I accepted 5, and once during the time that I had scheduled to talk with them, one of those days was my first meeting with one of the clients, and I realized, you know what, this is a lot more work than I had thought, and I'm happy to do the work, but I can't take more than these 5 and still enjoy myself, you know what I mean, and run the other divisions of my business. So I decided to limit it to 5. I like the 5 that I got. I know that if I need any more clients, there's a waiting list of now 35 qualified people to talk to, but I accepted 5. So that's a $50,000 monthly income. That's actually a $600,000 annual income, isn't it? Which is great. That's from one promotion, incidentally, which is fantastic, right? And just so you know, personally, there are 2 ways to do this. Now, the fiscally smart way is to be really structured and be like, okay, Mr. Client, you get these dates. These are your days. You have to meet all of these criteria and fit within my schedule and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like the way that Dan Kennedy would teach you or something, because he's really jealous of his time. I don't do that because it's not my personality. I kind of go overboard with everybody, so there's no way I could take more than 5 without it being stressful for me. I'm supposed to talk to them twice a month for an hour. I'll go to their office now. They come to my office and stuff. I've shot products with some of them. Like, one guy's a self-defense guy. I was in his self-defense DVDs. It took us like 4 hours of me getting beat up to shoot one of them. You know what I mean? So I go overboard with it. Point being, you don't have to adhere to any type of business model. If one guy says, hey, you should be this like a Nazi about your time and stuff, and it's not your personality, then do whatever you're comfortable with, right? 50 grand a month is pretty good income for basically hanging out with people that don't tell my clients this, but I hang out with them anyway. All right, so it's pretty cool. So now I'm sure you wanted to see, okay, dude, what was the PDF? Show me the offer. Well, that's what I'm going to do next. I'll walk you right through it, but before I do, I want to tell you why it worked. All right, so reason number 1 is the list. I only sent it to the people who were most likely to contain the rock stars. Incidentally, I've discovered that there's a lot of really badasses on my list. Good Lord. There are some very, very impressive companies that buy my stuff, which is fantastic. Second thing was the offer, which you're about to see, But without both of these being good, you can send an awesome offer to the wrong people and have terrible results. You can send a bad offer to the right people and have terrible results. So they both have to work in harmony, right? And of course, the copy within the offer also made it work. So now, without further ado, let me walk you through this copy and the mechanics of it so you can implement this MF immediately. All right, here we go. Right, so here's the PDF. Now, incidentally, the reason I sent a PDF is because I thought it would get a higher click-through rate than a website, and it turned out that it did. And I think the reason why is because it's new. And if you'll remember, one of our promotional triggers is actually new, the appearance of a new thing to sell. And in this case, it was just a whole new strategy in general. I mean, if you think about it, nobody just sends you a link straight out to a PDF, right? So I sent the link to the PDF. It got a lot of clicks, and this was it. There was no website at all. It was just a link straight to this PDF, which is on my servers. So the first thing we're going to look at is this headline right here. Now check this out, incidentally. I'm using a little tool for the Mac called Omnidazzle, which is free. You can Google it, and it allows you to draw stuff on your screen, anywhere on the screen, by the way, even in a keynote presentation, while you're making a video to illustrate things really quickly for people. Pretty neat, huh? So anyway, first thing we're going to point out right here is the old headline. Now this sucker, appeals to good old-fashioned trigger of self-interest and or greed, right? Which, I mean, who in the world would not get, who in the world who knows me already? Now, I don't know if this would work that well to a cold list, but who in the world who already knows me and has bought my stuff would be able to ignore this headline, right? And not necessarily have the scathing, scalding urge to give me money, but this is a hard headline to ignore, which is, would you like me to bring $1 million or more to your business this year for free, right? So that's pretty tough to ignore. So as you can tell, this offer is all about risk reversal right from the get-go. Risk reversal and personal gain, you know, two massive, massive triggers deployed in this thing immediately from the start. So, let's see here. This, there we go. Made it vanish there. Pretty groovy. All right, so now, as we scroll down, you'll see that, get this back up, here's my pen again. Right here, I'm using scarcity immediately. I'm looking for a dream client that I can bring in massive windfalls for. Now you notice I don't say I'm looking for customers or whatever, so I'm looking for a dream client. And now I further it by saying, if you are that client, I'll personally work with you one-on-one in your business to help you double, triple, or even maybe quadruple your revenue for the next 12 months. Now in this case, what I'm doing is I'm sowing the seeds for them to realize this is not a product, this is something that's going to take a while, and they need to be investing money over time. That's why I use the phrase for the next 12 months right here. Good old realistic setting of expectations, right? So that's it. Now, people are obviously going to be, you know, it's a letter from me. I don't send things out for the hell of it. So they know I got something for sale. They're saying, well, what in the hell is this going to cost me? You know, so I'm going to diffuse that immediately by saying you paid nothing out of pocket ever. So then I go on. Now, if you look at this letter, sorry for these. Let me get these out of your way. Boom, there we go. If you look at this letter from the top, you can see I'm already doing the dual readership path thing. So would you like me to bring you, or would you like me to bring $1 million or more to your business this year for free? And then if you scroll, it says you paid nothing out of pocket ever. Then we continue scrolling. This is the closest thing to free money you'll ever see. Then we continue scrolling. Nobody. So that kind of doesn't really make sense. This is not for everybody. Here's who I can help. And here's what I want you to do next. Then here's what will happen. Warning time is a factor. So if you just read those headlines, those subheads, headline followed by subhead, you would kind of get an idea of what the letter's about. That's for the scanners, right? Because you're probably no different. Most people get it, scan it, then go back and read it to see if they're interested. So kind of as a side note, that's a good copywriting effect, copywriting technique, a little bit of copywriting strategery. I learned it from good old, or shall I say mean old, Dan Kennedy, worth modeling, right? So now, I'll bring the pen back up. You pay nothing out of pocket ever, is what I say here. Clearly, an attention getter in the dual readership path segment here, I got to explain it. So I immediately say, here's why. The first thing I'm going to do for you is help you implement a promotion to bring in money. Now, if you'll notice this letter, it's 100% about them, what I'm going to do for them, right? So many guys and ladies in our community talk about how awesome they are. My name is Frank Kern. I'm great. Here's why I'm great. Here are the people I've helped. Here's why you should give me money. And that's okay if you're talking to people who don't know you. If they know you already, it's really, really a good idea to lead in talking about what you can do for them. Hit their hot button, their most important triggers immediately, and then start really hammering those triggers by telling you what you're going to do for them, right? So again, we started out with a trigger of self-interest, and now we've hit bargain here, which is you pay nothing out of pocket ever. So now we're going straight into here's what we can do for you. So first thing I'm going to do for you is to help you implement a promotion to bring in immediate money, right? There's no charge for this. I'll even do most of the heavy lifting for you. Sorry, I got that pen in your way. There we go. I'll even do most of the heavy lifting for you, telling you exactly what to send, how to position your offer, and how to bring in back-end money as well. If you're happy with the results I get for you, then you can become my client at a later date and pay my small fee from the profits I've already made you. Now, I'm already explaining this for free aspect, right? So my headline says I'll do it for free, and now they're like, well, what the heck is that? So if you notice this, I sort of explain that now. I make you money up front, and then you can pay later from the profits I've already made you. Thus, it doesn't really cost anything. And I know they're looking for a catch here, so I go ahead and say it really is that simple and there's no catch. This is truly the closest thing to free money you'll ever see. Now, really, at the end of the day, what does my market want? You know, like any market that's in business, what do we want more than anything? Free money. I mean, come on. If I could just say, hey, you know what? You can take this course, learn how to make $1 million, or I could just give you $1 million, which is your choice. I think they'd rather have $1 million. I know I certainly would, right? So I hit that really hard with this subhead, that this is truly the closest thing to free money you'll ever see. And then I go on to explain it, and the reason why is I'm going to make you a bunch of money right up front for free, and then if you want me to keep doing that for you, simply pay me later from the big pile of profits I've already brought you, right? So again, I'm reiterating that offer. So basically this offer is let me make you some money and then pay me to keep doing that out of money I've already made you. Really, really irresistible offer, right? To anybody with some sense, they're going to take this because, shit, I mean, how could you not, right? There's zero risk in it. So then I go on to explain it even further, because at this point they're going to be looking for, they're like, surely this isn't true, right? I mean, surely there's got to be some kind of catch. So if I've learned anything, is when you make an irresistible offer, your biggest obstacle could very well be that it sounds too good to be true. So you got to show them every bit of the details that you can. So I say now in this segment of the letter, it's easy. Here's how it'll work. First, you run the promotion I designed for you for free. Well, you run the promotion I designed for you, and then in parentheses for free, explaining that I'm going to design this promotion for them for free. Then we get on the phone and go over the results. Assuming you're happy and you make a bunch of money, you'll probably want to continue working together long term. Now notice I'm using this phrase long term here, right? Because look, I don't want to do this if we're just going to work together for a month or two. It's not worth my time. The reason I created this program is, one, I enjoy the work. It kind of keeps me on my toes, and I get to work with cool people. Number two is, who wouldn't want a steady stream of 50 G's a month and, you know, of just very dependable revenue that you don't have to spend that much time to get? You know, I probably work literally, I would say maybe 12 hours a month for that 50 grand. I don't know, maybe 20 hours a month. And that's, you know, I mean, that's, for an info guy, that's a lot of money, but hell, I like it. You know, I mean, that's a lot of time. That's not a lot of money. It's pretty good income, you know. But that's a lot of time spent to bring in 50 G's a month. But I don't mind it. But I certainly wouldn't want to put in this amount of time for, like, just, you know, a guy that's going to stick with me for a month or two. You know, I want someone that's going to be in here for the long term. So then I go in to kind of start selling it now. I say, look, I mean, who wouldn't want a consistent increase in found money, right? Now, I'm using the term consistent here is because I want them to consistently work with me month after month, you know? So then I go on to say, so if this is the case, all I ask is you use a portion of your newfound profits to pay my fee, which is $97.50 a month. Now, so there's one thing I learned from this, is I could have done it for probably $14.5, you know, or maybe $15.50, or maybe even $17 a month. I priced it way too cheap, but I'm not going to raise my price on these guys now. I mean, they're my friends, really, you know. So I go on, and I say, obviously, I expect you to make much more than $97.50 in the first month, and if we keep working together over the next 12 months, I'm confident I can double your entire business at minimum, which I am. Right? So if you look at this, like, you can probably surmise this already. The offer is, look, I'm going to run a promotion, I'm going to design a promotion for you. It's going to make you more than $97.50 immediately. You're not going to have to pay me for that. And then afterwards, you pay me $97.50 a month, and I keep doing stuff like that for you. You know, so it really is an irresistible offer for them. Now I go on to say, now obviously this is an amazing offer which you'll probably never see from any other internet guru in the world. Now, what triggers is hitting? Exclusivitor, right? I'm the only guy that does this, right? So, which I think is the case. Actually, I don't really know anyone else who does this. So that's why I say that, and it's true. And I say, think about it. I'm taking a chance on you by generating profits for you up front for free, and then letting you pay me later. If and only if you decide to work together long term. I probably should have said we. That reads funny now that I'm saying it out loud here. Right? So what I'm doing right here is I'm beginning to sow the seeds of something that I'm going to call bouncer positioning. Right? And bouncer positioning is when you let your prospects and your marketplace understand that not just anybody can work with you. All right? Not just anybody can do that. That is they have to apply, they have to meet qualifications. Basically, they have to be cool enough to get in. So think about this. Like if you're looking for a nightclub to go to, which one are you going to inherently want to go into more? The one that's just wide open with, some people in there having a good time, or the one where it looks like there's a lot of people in there having a good time and there's this big gigantic Samoan dude, that looks like The Rock, standing outside right behind a red velvet rope, keeping the throngs of masses away and only allowing in the select few who happen to be supermodels and the swarthy dudes that date them. You know what I mean? Now, wait a minute. Hang on. I actually am married to a hot model, and I'm not swarthy. So I'm the only guy, though, right, that's not swarthy. All the other guys married to models are swarthy. So anyway, obviously, psychologically, we go for the velvet rope situation. So I call this bouncer positioning, and I'm sowing the seeds of bouncer positioning here in this letter by saying, I'm taking a chance on you. You're not taking a chance on me. You're lucky I'm working with you, basically, is what I'm saying. And then I go on to say that who else would do that? Nobody, right? Which is true. I did check. I don't see anybody in our community making this kind of offer. So, hey, when you have that kind of uniqueness, why not play it up, right? So then I go on to say, but I'm happy to do it because I will get you long-term results if we work together. Now, this is an important sentence. Because what I'm doing here is, first of all, I'm backing up my claims. I'm saying, look, I will get you results, but most importantly, what I'm saying is I'm sowing the seeds for long-term, right? Which is important. I don't want these guys for just a month. It's not worth it to me. And then I say, if we work together, which at this point is getting to be kind of an issue of if I accept you as a client, right? And now I'm doing a little bit of puffery. After all, I'm the highest paid direct response internet marketing consultant and copywriter on the planet for a reason. My stuff works, and I've literally made millions for my private clients. So now I'm beginning the sale, right? So I've made the offer, which is irresistible, and now I'm making the sale to generate more desire. I say, I'm the guy behind the biggest promotions and campaigns in the history of the internet marketing community. Over the past 6 years, I've generated $47 million in sales for myself and my private clients. This is why I'm sought out by celebrity entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins, best-selling authors like Neil Strauss, television personalities like Dean Graziosi, and just about every other business guru you can name. Good old-fashioned name-dropping and social proof here. If you got it, flaunt it. You want to use that. Anyway, as you can imagine, I'll probably get a lot of interest from this letter. Now, what are we sowing the seeds for here? Scarcity. And that's why I need you to read this next part carefully. Now, we got scarcity leading into even more bouncer positioning going on here. And good old-fashioned weeding out of the folks who I can't help, right? Because truly, I'm not going to accept everybody as a client. I can't. I'm not capable of generating a quick ROI for just anyone under the sun. They got to meet certain criterions, So I say it right here. This is not for everybody. Here's who I can help. And then I go on more with bouncer positioning. I'm going to be very picky about who I work with. Again, implying you are lucky if I choose you as a client. I'm not asking you to be my client. I'm telling you, you have the opportunity to get chosen by me, right? So it's totally different position. Now, I go on. After all, 100% of the risk is on me because if you don't follow my advice and live up to your end of the deal, I've wasted my time and I don't get paid. See, so where everyone else is like, hey, this is risk-free, try my stuff out, you have nothing to lose, I've totally reversed the polarity of the whole thing with the bouncer positioning, saying, hey, I'm taking a risk on you. If you waste my time, I'm losing out. So I'm not going to choose just anybody, right? This is not for everybody for a myriad of reasons, beginning with this one right here. I'm taking a chance on you, which I'll be more than happy to do if you meet my criteria. So now I'm beginning the big filter, which is kind of the equivalent of the big Samoan dude and the big red velvet rope, right? And it actually really is real criteria. So I go on and I lay out the criteria. Here it is. You have to have a solid business already, duh. And again, by the way, this is real. I'm not just like throwing shit out there to generate scarcity and all that kind of stuff. There's no way I'm going to take some dude who wants to start selling ebooks on ClickBank about how to get rich in 10 minutes and he's never made any money. I got to have real people to make this work. So I lay out my real criteria. I'll just go over it briefly just to illustrate how I do it, but you would, at this stage in your letter, insert your criteria here, which would need to be real legitimate criteria, of course. So I say, here it is. You have to have a solid business already. This offer is not for people who are up and running already and simply want to run, or rather, this offer is for people who are up and running already and simply want to run a lot faster and a lot farther without much more, if any, work, right? You should be doing around 7 figures or more each year already. I won't work with beginners, get-rich-quick people, or biz-op folks, right? So I'm just weeding out those who I don't want, basically, and calling out the attention of the 7-figure earners already. Number 2, you must have a steady flow of leads and customers. This means that you're getting consistent traffic and making sales already. You're running ads, you're promoting, and you're selling stuff. You don't have to be everywhere or huge. I just need you to be present in your market. Again, I'm just looking for people with momentum. You know what I mean? With a list that I can work with, right? Because the first thing, especially with this offer, if I'm going to make them a bunch of money up front, I'm just going to craft a promotion to send to their list, probably something like a 4-day cash machine. Because even though everyone buys my stuff, you know, so many people like buy it, use it once, and then like forget about it for whatever reason. You know, they'll make all this money, like, oh, that was awesome. Now let me try something new. Instead of doing what's worked, you know, just keep doing that, right? So I just run them a simple 4-day cash machine or any of the things I've already shown you, right? So anyway, this is the reason for criteria number 2, just basically, you know, people I gotta have. And number 3, you must have a list. Doesn't really need to be that big, just responsive. I have my little joke here about size not mattering, finally. Right? And then numero 4, you must have a good, solid product and a good reputation. Again, just, you know, legitimate reasons. I don't want to work with anyone super sketchy or anything like that. And now more bouncer positioning here. You must follow directions. Don't worry, I won't ask you to do anything weird. But, again, I'm qualifying the statement. After all, if you don't implement the stuff I give you, neither one of us will make money. So that's it. Those are all my requirements. And, of course, do you remember my 3-step selling formula I've been teaching forever? Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do next. Well, here's the final step in that. Here's what I want you to do next, right? If you meet the criteria above and would like to talk to me personally about getting you incredible results, then I'll happily set aside some time for you, right? Here's how this, now notice this positioning. I'm not asking them to set aside time for me. I'm telling them I'm going to do them a favor by setting aside the time for them, right? It's important you have this kind of confidence when making this type of offer, and if you want to sell something this expensive really quickly, you need to really be able to back your stuff up, and if you can back your stuff up, and there's no reason under the sun that you couldn't make this kind of very, very irresistible offer to your folks. So as I say, here's how the process works. First, you'll need to fill out an application. It's important. I'm making them apply. That's that bouncer positioning. Don't worry, it's simple and unobtrusive. Let me move this for you. Here we go. Next page. There we go. I just need to know what you're selling, get an idea of what you want to accomplish, and so forth. And then, of course, I'm basically just telling them what's going to happen so they won't be weirded out, right? You know, like if you're going to tell someone to you know, come stay at a vacation place, you can be like, hey, the first day we're going to do this, second day we're going to do this, here's what the room is like. So I'm essentially just selling them the experience they're going to get and assuaging any fears about their application, you know. So then here's what will happen. Notice I'm future pacing this now. I'm saying it as if this is going to happen, by the way. If I think we might be a good fit, Gerald from my office will call you and set up a time for us to talk. Now notice this, again, bouncer positioning. If I think we might be a good fit, then I'll call you, right? So it's kind of the same stuff that happens in a job interview. Hey, I'll call you. You know, thank you for coming in. I'll call you if I think we're going to go any further. You can expect to hear from my office in about 48 business hours at the most. Our initial call will be pretty brief. We'll essentially be feeling each other out to make sure we're a good match. If we decide to move forward, we'll set up a second call for a planning session. This is where we really begin working to figure out exactly what you want, how to make it happen. Right? And then there's really no salesmanship here. I'm just telling them what's going to happen. When we hang up, I'll painstakingly review your goals, your offers, and so forth, and I'll deliver a plan to bring in money immediately. This translation is I will write them or outline for them a promotion. Right? Then you implement it. Notice this. You implement it. I'm not telling them I'm going to implement it for them. You implement it, and we measure the results. If you make money and would like to stay on as a high-level client, great. And if you don't, that's okay too. Either way, the risk is on me because you never pay any money until I've delivered profits to your business and you decide you'd like me to do that on a regular basis. Notice the phrase regular basis. right? Now, it's important to notice the overall tone of confidence here. When you're selling something to a person at a high level like this, and you're basically selling your ability to get a result for them, there's no other asset you could have aside from your ability to fulfill, clearly, but aside from your ability to fulfill, there's no other asset you could have that is greater than your personal confidence in what you're going to do for them. And if you lack that confidence and you don't convey it, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make the sale, right? So this same offer, without the confidence and without the tonality of confidence and bouncer positioning, would not have been as incredibly well received and effective if I didn't have it. All right, so now we go on and start putting in the time/scarcity pressure on them. My office just got invaded by my cat. I hope you don't hear this crazy cat scratching all my furniture. Now we have 2 cats in the office, so we're in trouble. Anyway, and it's easy to do here. I just say, warning, time is a factor. And then insert scarcity, which, by the way, is legitimate. I mean, clearly, how many clients can a man take? So this opportunity is extremely limited because of the intense one-on-one time needed in order to provide you with results. So basically, I'm reselling again. I'm saying, look, you're getting intense one-on-one time, and I'm providing you with results. At this price point, that's all people care about is results. Therefore, it is physically impossible for me to work with more than a handful of people. Also, you should realize there's a very large demand for personal one-on-one help from me, and what I'm offering you is an incredible bargain, which it is. After all, who wouldn't want to profit first and then pay later if they felt like it? So with that said, know that the window of opportunity won't be long. If you feel like this is right for you, click here, leave your application, and let's talk. And that's the entire PDF, which, like I told you, got incredible results. So let's see if my application is still up. It is still up, and this is what it looked like. Now, please don't fill this out, because then Gerald's going to be like, what the hell are these consulting? Are you doing consulting again? You didn't tell me. Then she'll get mad at me. She'll kill me. She's very, very vicious. She's mean. You don't want to make her mad. I probably shouldn't even tell you that. She might watch this video and come get me, right? So here it is, application. Notice the use of application. It's not pre-order form or anything like that. It doesn't ask for money. I just get their name, email, I get their number, I get their website. Now, again, why do I want their website? So I can check it out, so I can make sure they're a real person. Make sure they're not selling anything that I consider sketchy or weird, because I don't want to deal with anybody who sells any weird stuff, What do you sell? So again, this is me just qualifying them. How many customers are in your database? How many prospects are on your email list? How much gross sales volume did your business do last year? What is your gross revenue goal for the next 12 months? And what's your biggest challenge in terms of business growth? The reason I'm asking all these questions is because it is legitimately stuff that I need and want to know in order to have an intelligent conversation with this potential client after they have applied. Right, so it allows me to have the final, next to final filtering process in place. So if you look at this whole promotion, is basically a big filter. So filter number 1 was filtering out my list and only targeting the multi-buyers under the belief that likely the rock stars are going to live within the multi-buyers, as opposed to the people who just never buy anything and just look at my stuff. So that's filter number 1. Filter number 2 is the letter itself. Right? Because I'm basically saying, hey, here's who this is not for, and I list my criteria. So pretty cut and dry there, right? So I got my 5 things they got to have and do in order for me to work with them. Filter number next is the fact that there's an application, right? And filter number next is the questions on the application. So I use that to filter them out. And then the final filter is my conversation with them. They might look good on paper, but then I might call and talk to them, and they can end up being complete fruitcakes, which actually happened. Like, one dude was totally full of crap. I was like, what? Seriously? This is completely not what you said in this application. You know what I mean? So, about this promotion, you need one of these. And the reason why is because even if you don't want to do a consulting aspect of your business, there's probably something you could sell where you're doing something for them that others won't, that they will pay you a lot of money for. And if you don't have it as a regular part of your business, you could at least have it as a periodic part of your business in the form of a slack adjuster. And the definition of slack adjuster is something at a very, very premium price point that you don't sell all the time, or maybe you do, it doesn't really matter. And people don't buy constantly, but when they do buy, it's a big influx of cash that kind of takes up any slack you might have in your numbers, right? So this is a very easy, low-tech, simple way. Of course, there's a little manual labor, but, manual labor leads to money, you know what I mean? So a little manual labor involved in doing it, but guys, 50 G's a month. Come on, from one email to 3,000 people. You know what I mean? So deploy it and enjoy with this thing. You could view it as advanced, or you could view it as a no-brainer, easy thing to do, and then just ask yourself, well, what's the coolest possible thing I could do for them? So one thing that like I kind of do is, let me get you a blank piece of paper here, which we'll start with. Say hello to Mrs. Kern. That's her there in the on the desktop that you see. Here, I'll pull up a blank text editor and I'll draw on it for us. All right. So, and this really isn't necessary to draw anything. I just don't want you to get bored looking at a blank screen while I'm talking. So we do this thing. Do I have my pen? Yeah. So if you look, you begin this process with a primary question, which is, what is the coolest possible thing I could do for my guys, right? So what is the coolest possible thing? What would make them happier than anything else in the world that I could do for them? So the answer for me is do all the work for them, right? So you may have a different answer, right? So if I did that, which I could do, that would be the private client relationship, which is, I don't know, I vacillate between $250,000 and $150,000. Truth be told, I haven't had a private client in a couple of years because it's too much work. I don't want to do that, So then you say, okay, well, and your answer may be different. You may be like, well, it's this, and I could do it for them. So you have like a process map, What's the coolest thing I could do for them? Answer it. Then the next question is, well, am I willing to do this? Yes or no? If yes, make the offer. If no, then what next? So then you say, well, what's the second coolest thing? Right? And then, in my case, it is hand holding and one-on-one. Right? And in this case, I could do it. So I didn't have to dig too deeply. I was like, all right, well, the second coolest thing I could do for them is design promotions, tell them exactly what to do specifically for their business, talk to them a couple times a month, review the numbers with them, and just be their guy. I was willing to do that, and therefore it was what the offer was all about. So if you're trying to figure out, well, gosh, what can I sell for a premium price, then that's a really, really good way to go about it, to figure out what's worth this type of money. And heck, your money might be different. You might have something you could sell for $100,000 using this very same letter. So enjoy this. Now, obviously, you have to be able to back up your big mouth promises, as Jim Rohn would say. Otherwise, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Now, what's interesting is this about this letter. I made the letter, and I said, hey, I'll do all this kind of stuff for you, and then maybe you can become a client. The people who responded were so certain that they wanted me to do it. They're like, dude, don't worry about that crap. Let's just get started. I don't want to risk like losing my spot to somebody else. I already know you can do it. Here's what I want to accomplish. And bam, we just shot right out of the gate. And everybody, incidentally, has been very net positive on their ROI with me that took part of this program. So anyway, that is the $500,000 PDF. If I wanted to get more clients, I would send it again. I only sent the email out once, 70-something applications. It was ridiculous. You might see me do a variation of this in the near future for a similar program. You never know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and this promotion. I think it'll make you a lot of money if you deploy it. Really, really low tech and simple, man. I made this PDF in Macintosh Pages, that comes with Office or whatever it is, iWork. For the Mac, you can make it in Word, doesn't matter. I use this font, it's called Laura, L-O-R-A. I think it's a little classier than Times New Roman. It's about all the tech stuff I got for you on this one. All right, so deploy and enjoy. I'll talk to you soon.